Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Inside with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we always give you information about sports from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @ of Indus News Sports. That basically works both Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. Pakistan versus South Africa, the third T20 is being played in Centurion today. And yes, Chelsea has reached the championship semi-final for the first time in 7 years. And yes, Russian Medvedev actually tests positive for coronavirus and is ruled out of Monte Carlo's Masters. And yes, from the world of NBA, Steph Curry becomes Golden State Warriors' all-time record point scorer. And yes, those were the headlines. And not to forget, Pakistan is actually facing South Africa today, but we'll surely be discussing that. Not to forget that this is the third T20. Pakistan did lose the last T20, which was a major upset. And before that, they won the first T20. And they also actually managed to clinch that ODI victory. But the last match kind of brought things down. And to discuss all of this, we have with us Mohammad Awais, our first-class cricketer. Awais, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, Awais, let's talk about the T20 squad to begin with. Obviously, we lost the last T20 match, and today is going to be an interesting turn of events for Pakistan cricket team. Do you think our team will be ready and not collapse like they did the last time?
I mean, if you just watch the performance of Pakistan team in the last T20 match, I mean, it was really disappointing. But overall, if you say, I mean, I was happy actually. You know what? Because you need to have some shakes in between your winning streak, because then you know how to bounce back. And in the previous match, if you just remember on the way Pakistan batting actually just flopped, especially there were some changes made in between because Fakhar Zaman wasn't feeling well, so they included Shajid, was coming back after long period of gap for Pakistan team. I don't want to be harsh on him because it was his long back journey back to the Pakistan team. He was playing against South Africa, and South Africa. No, the South African team isn't that same what South Africa is with the main players who have travelled for, unfortunately, for the Indian Premier League. But still, the Pakistan, they managed to clinch the victory. I mean, they really bowled well, I would say, and especially Makram, the batsman from South Africa, was exceptional. The way he let South African open up the batting with with strokes, and he played aggressive. I mean, he never let the Pakistan bowlers to settle down. So it's a third T20 match to be played today, and not to forget that Babar Azam has clinched the #1 title from Virat Kohli. So everyone has an eye on Pakistan, and especially to win the T20 series on a higher note.
Yes, very congratulations to Babar Azam indeed for getting that slot above Virat Kohli as the top batsman in the ODI side. But anyways, how do you currently see the evolution, not only Pakistan as a team, because if we look back, like you said, we need to have those downs to bounce back and get back to the ups, because our teams, our players currently have the consistency, and we've literally seen that consistency. But do you think we can only rely on Babar Azam, which was kind of one of the side situation that took place in the last match?
See, Alamdar, I mean, I told you that we just can't rely on one batsman. Yes, I know Babar Azam is one of the backbone positions in the Pakistan team on the world cricket, I would say. And now Rizwan too. I mean, the way he has been playing fabulously well. Unfortunately, I mean, every day is not a Sunday for you. The last match wasn't good for for Rizwan. But still, you need to be a team unit to win a tournament, win a match. And Pakistan did lack in the previous match. If you just watch out, the Pakistan batsmen crumbled up. Especially when the opening department flopped, you just saw a line of the other batsmen except Babar Azam to just flatter down, because again, I would say the other batsmen in the Pakistan team, now they really need to realize one thing, that what position they carry in the Pakistan team. I mean, they need to know what, if it's a batsman, that I'm a backbone position of the Pakistan team. Every batsman needs to know that. Even the bowlers need to know that they're the backbone position. You just can't rely on one or two players to win a match for you or win a tournament for you every time. You need to be a one-man unit. A team unit to win a tournament.
Absolutely. And talking about Mohammad Rizwan, of course, we know the wisdom and the talent that this guy has. But unfortunately, him leaving on the first ball is surely not a good, not a good plan of action to expedite as an opener. I think, and then comes the obviously, when we talk about one down, it also becomes very tricky because one down is, I think, one of the most crucial places to be at. But when you have the fall of wicket of 0 for 1 in the entire, the opening of the match, automatically it gives a vibe to the entire team. And I think that is one of the major reasons Pakistan did came up to a crash.
See, I mean, when you make some changes in the opening department, obviously, I told you, because the winning streak, what he had, the Pakistan, what had a winning streak when they had Fakhar Zaman as an opener. I mean, if it's due to his not feeling well, there were some changes in the opening department too. And he saw one thing, that the Pakistan batting was actually disturbed because Sharjeel Khan is making a comeback after many years in the Pakistan team. So obviously Babar Azam had to bat down one down position because the way Rizwan has been performing well in the opening department. One down position, rightly you pointed up, it's one of the backbone positions in the entire world, wherever you play, even if it's Test or One Day T20, it's one of the backbone position, and you really need to perform well. The real thing, what I feel is, Alamdar bhai, who everyone has been speaking about, it's about Haider Ali.
Right.
He's one of the talented players. He's one of the classy players. Everyone loves to watch him because I basically rate him as a player who plays all over the path. I mean, he has that high range. He can go for any shots, but he really needs to understand one thing, that you're representing a national team. You're not representing under 19th or Peshawar Zalmi, and I think you're representing Pakistan or a higher note, and everyone is expecting a lot from you. You have to change your 20s or 30s into 50s and 100s. You need to play a big innings for Pakistan. Because if this thing happens on, like he scores a fabulous 20-25 runs and just gets out on a foolish delivery, that I would say will be a trouble sort for him when he will be picked up in the future for Pakistan. Because I mean, the World Cup is on the line, and you have to be a top contender for the World Cup for Pakistan team. So you really need to forget your flaws, and you need to be back in the form over here. What Pakistan need in the middle order from you, you have to perform well for that. So I would say Haider Ali is the point where Pakistan really need to work hard on him.
But to be honest, you actually clinched my words, because this is exactly what I was focused and was planning on asking you. Because Haider Ali, we've seen him perform, and definitely he still has a long way to go. But he has to prove his worth as a teammate, not obviously ensuring himself, getting out on foolish deliveries, because that would surely be a big impact on his career.
Yeah, I mean, Alamdar, when you're playing against any team, when you're playing representing an international team, I mean, you really need to know that you have to even give respect to any bowler, whether if it's a fast or whether if it's a spin ball. You really need to give respect to a good ball.
Right.
But it's not that you go for every delivery. I mean, go against that, go for pinch hitting. You really need to even rotate the strike. That's the plus point of a batsman, when he rotates the strike. True. Where he actually keeps the clock picking up, because you can't go for every boundary. You really need to stand up. You need to understand one thing, that I am batting in the middle order. I'm holding a backbone position for Pakistan in the middle order. And what Pakistan team is actually requiring from me, I need to perform that. I need to go for bigs, but I really need to keep my scorecard even clocking, because I need to rotate the strike on regular intervals. Get the fielders busy too. But if you can't, then it's really going to be a problem for you when you actually be on the selection criteria for the World Cup or for the other series, because he's one of the batsmen. Again, I will tell that everyone loves to watch him. Everyone knows what he can do, but he needs to know one thing, that is he playing in the middle order? Is he there to build up the innings, or is he there to just go for the for the free flow, what a batsman does at the number 6 or 5th position?
Right. And if we look back, even if we look back into the first T20, he managed to score only 14 runs. And obviously he was coming like 5th down. And in the second, obviously he did 12 runs. So I think he needs to work on those numbers, because we have seen him perform. We all know his potential as a cricketer. And specifically, if we look back into his performance in the PSL, we surely know what he can do. But the point is, he needs to prove, or he needs to get there to prove his worth. Do you think this time maybe we may expect some miracle? I think that would be good for him too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young chap. I mean, it's a long way to go for him for Pakistan, but it's that the management and obviously they have one of the best, I would say, mind of cricket. That's Yunus Bhai. With him, obviously, he would have been speaking to him. Mr. Bhai is there, giving him confidence. Even the captain, even the senior campaigners like Hafiz Bhai has been giving him confidence. But it's that the chap really needs to now learn that I'm one of the core part of the Pakistan team. I need to deliver. And again, I don't want him to be pressurized, or I don't want the team to get him pressurized. Let him play his natural game, but it's that he needs to convert that 20-25 into 50s and 100s, because he's playing at at that position where actually a batsman scores 50s and 100s.
Right.
It's not that what you require 30 or 35 runs. You need to go for big. You need to deliver till the end. You need to play all the over for Pakistan, because he's one of the batsmen, I say that, who actually plays around 15, 16 overs, or who can back down who can back at last overs. He can be a flamboyant kind of a cricketer, but it's that again that he really needs to understand what position he has in the Pakistan team.
Right. And obviously talking about big, would surely want to once again talk about Babar Azam's claiming or clinching that top spot, obviously with 865 rating and Virat Kohli at 857. And not to forget that Fakhar Zaman is also on the number 7th. So what's your take on this evolution for Babar Azam and obviously for Fakhar Zaman in the long journey?
Babar Azam has been a masterclass. I mean, if you just remember a guy who started from the ball, I mean, in the Gaddafi Stadium, if I'm not wrong, he was a ball boy and he started his career over there, played under 19s, captained the Pakistan team, and he has never looked back. I mean, anyway, he came into the Pakistan team. And he has been captaining the Pakistan well, I would say, as a batsman. He has been leading the world cricket very well. Right. Yeah, and he has clinched the crown of number one batsman in the world from Virat Kohli, one of the finest batsmen, again, I would say, of the era. But I loved one thing, it was about Fakhar Zaman. If you remember, even me, I have been criticizing him on the TV channels that he hasn't been performing consistently well. What you need a consistent performance. If you remember from the Champions Trophy, one innings, what he played against India, he never was consistent. He used to just score 20s, 15, 10 or something, not consistently what Fakhar Zaman was actually known for. But if you just watch out Fakhar Zaman in this innings, he's totally a different player what you watch. I mean, he has regained his confidence. True. He's much better batsman, I would say. He knows how to improvise the innings. He knows actually how to, I would say, just rotate the strike. That's the main point what I loved. And especially his bat flow has been really good. I remember when there was a point after Champions Trophy when the bowlers actually caught his weakness. It was on the rib cage, getting in short pitch, and he used to give a catch on the square leg or just uppish and get it caught on the circle area. Right. But now it's totally different for Fakhar Zaman. You just watch him; he's a free flow batsman. He knows what his strong and weaknesses. And it was unfortunate again. I would say that match, what happened. I mean, there was controversy going on between de Kock and Fakhar. But if we could have scored 200, it could have been a fabulous thing for Fakhar Zaman.
True, true. Well, thank you so very much, Avais, for being a part of the show and discussing the world of cricket. So yes, that was the big discussion about obviously Babar Azam and Fakhar Zaman's great performances. But anyways, we're looking forward to that on today's match, Pakistan versus South Africa. That's going to be super interesting. Anyways, guys, we'll take a short break, and once we're back from the break, we'll surely discuss more sports. See you guys after the break. And welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing Pakistan versus South Africa's T20, the third T20, which will surely be underway. But not to forget that we still have a lot of information and gatherings, news all across from the world, which also includes the Championship League. And yes, talking about the Championship League, we'll surely be discussing FC Porto's win against Chelsea. And not only that, we'll talk about Bayern Munich beating the PSG. But to discuss this, we have Natasha all the way from Scotland. Natasha, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So Natasha, first things first, let's talk about the Championships League's quarterfinals. FC Porto won against Chelsea, and obviously Bayern Munich, decided to beat PSG. But on the contrary, the other teams who have actually won on an aggregated score are heading to the semis.
That's right, yeah. So firstly, let's talk about the Chelsea game. A lovely 93rd minute goal by Porto came all too late to give them any real chance of advancing in this tie. It was all very straightforward for Chelsea, really, who were never in any serious danger. It wasn't the most thrilling tie, but it showed great game management and controlled football, which got them to the next round. Chelsea's manager Tuchel himself admitted that it wasn't the best game for spectators, but that's the kind of football that wins tournaments. Jorginho and Kante were excellent. They really prevented Porto from creating any chances. And we now wait and see if it'll be Liverpool or Real Madrid in the next round for Chelsea.
Yeah. So how do you see Chelsea's change of entire plans? Because, if we look back into the evolution of Chelsea, it started taking stepwise, places when Thomas Tuchel actually managed to get hold of them. Because before that, things were very different. And yes, they did lose to West Brom recently, which was kind of upsetting. But in generally, how do you see the evolution of Chelsea going and what direction they're on now?
I think Tuchel's come in and done brilliant things for Chelsea. They're on a great run. That defeat last night was only the second time that Chelsea have lost since
Right.
Tuchel took over 11 weeks ago.
Right.
So this is actually the first of a very big 12 days for Chelsea. Next up, they have to play Man City in the Cup. And then the following weekend, they meet West Ham, who are on a great run and currently sitting in that fourth position that Chelsea are hunting. It's a big test for Tuchel, but I think he's certainly turned Chelsea around enough that he's capable of getting them into that fourth place spot.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about the second match that I was discussing? Obviously, Bayern Munich beating PSG. However, PSG also cruising into the semi.
What a game that was. A scintillating display of attack and counter-attack, and two teams giving it a real good go, showcasing some of the best technical ability I've seen in a game in a while. It's a joy to watch some of the PSG players like Neymar, Mbappe, Di Maria. My only criticism of PSG is the amount of time they spend overacting after a foul. I don't like to see it, but there's no doubt that we got to witness some of the world's best at their very best last night. Neymar's technical ability, his ball control, it's a sight to behold. The ball seems to stick to his foot like they're magnets. But equally, we look at that Bayern side, as good as PSG's frontline are, Bayern soaked it up last night. Neuer in particular in goals was exceptional. The problem for Bayern last night is that they were hampered by injury and had nothing on the bench to refresh them when they needed it. And their first team were already depleted. So for PSG, this is the third time that they've advanced to the last four. But if they play like they did last night, I certainly fancy them against Man City or Dortmund.
Right. Would surely want to talk a bit about the current standing in the Premier League. Obviously, all cruising in for the top four to begin with. As Manchester City still cruises, and obviously they still have all their chances, even if they lost the last match as well, but they're still at the top. What's your take on the top four and the struggle towards the top four? Because there has been a major upsets for Leicester City. They're losing the past two matches, and obviously Chelsea is still trying and struggling, and so is Liverpool trying to get there. What's your take on the top four?
I think Man City are by far the best team in the league this season, and they are going to deservedly win the title. For me, the interesting team at the moment is West Ham.
Right.
They are significantly overachieving. They're getting some great results against some big teams, and they've got themselves into a top four spot, which is massively overachieving for a club like West Ham. Personally, I don't think they'll hold on to it. I think Chelsea and Liverpool will end up overtaking them, but a great run for West Ham that they should be commended on.
Right, absolutely. And yes, obviously winning the past two matches, and those two were really the crucial one, obviously the one against Leicester City. What's your take on Liverpool to begin with? We surely want to talk more about that as well, because they're still struggling as well, and everybody's trying their level best to come on the top four, and obviously last year's champion. But some major upsets, some major blows to Liverpool. What's your take on that?
I feel sorry for Liverpool. I think after such a high last season, this season has been really hampered by injury to key players like Virgil van Dijk, and through the pandemic, they've lost a lot of players as a result of COVID and injury. They're very short at the back. They don't have many centre halves. And it's really just been a series of unfortunate events for Liverpool this season. So I do feel sorry for them. I think they'll bounce back next season, but fourth is as high as they're looking to achieve for me this season.
Right. I mean, to be honest, nobody expected the situation to mold for Liverpool like this, because if we look back to their track record, obviously we see more of the successes. But unfortunately, because of losing Virgil van Dijk and major players, obviously you said that there were a few players with the corona situation as well, and there are a lot of people who've actually went through in different clubs who've actually been through the corona situation, and it's still continuing to grow. Let's talk about Tottenham Hotspurs. Obviously, them coming down slowly and gradually. I still remember initially they were in like the top 5, but slowly and gradually they have also kind of losing the top 4 slot.
Yeah, again, I think Tottenham's issue is the run of games they've got coming up. They've got some very hard fixtures, coming up with Everton, Southampton, Man City. These aren't going to be straightforward games for Spurs. And I think they might struggle. I think there's definitely potential to drop quite a few points for them there. They've not been on a great run. That loss to Man United at the weekend will really have dented them.
Right.
And I think I see them struggling to increase their position at the moment.
We're talking about that last game against Manchester United. Of course, that was one phenomenal game. And we could actually see it's a consecutive 4 victories for Manchester United. And I think if this situation had developed for them way before the season coming to an end, I think they would have been on the top of the charts.
Yeah, I think Man United have found their form slightly too late in the season. They have been on a good run. Like you said, it has come too late, but nobody was ever going to match Man City this season. They really have been a level above the rest of the playing field.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So, and what's your take on the top 4? Who do you think, in your opinion, would surely end up being on the top 4?
I think it's likely to be Man City, Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool. I think Leicester will just miss out. West Ham will drop down as well. And I think that'll be the final standings of the top 4.
I think the major turn of events will actually take place for the 3rd and the 4th, because that is what people are actually struggling, the clubs are struggling, players are struggling to get, because from Manchester City to Manchester United, I think the 1st and the 2nd slot would surely be here, but the major struggle is going to be for the 3rd and the 4th place.
Yes, absolutely agree. And it's all to play for clubs like Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, West Ham. It's all very tight around those spots. The lure of Champions League football must surely be an incentive, and it'll be tight. But I think on the run of games and who they've still got to play this season, I see Chelsea and Liverpool edging that 3rd and 4th spot.
Interesting take on that. Thank you. One more last question that I would want to discuss with you before we head further. Natasha, what's your take on the entire coronavirus situation for the players in the Premier League? Obviously, it's been a long and a very hard journey on that side across the globe. What's your take on that?
It makes it very difficult. It makes it difficult for the players to train in a normal environment, and it's something that no one in the world is used to, but the players especially have been thrown into an environment that they are not used to training in. Clubs are being hampered more than others, with positive cases coming back. Some teams lose very valuable players at key points of the season. Right. You look at the teams in Scotland. Celtic in January lost 13 players
right.
to the coronavirus pandemic. They were out for 2 or 3 games, and Celtic dropped lots of points during that period. So the virus is really having an effect on the clubs, and whoever seems to be hit the worst by the virus right. is dropping points. So it is impacting the clubs, and it's impacting the standings in the league.
Yep. Let's hope for the best, Natasha, that things fall into place for us, or clubs manage to get used to the new normal. Thank you very much for being a part of the show.
No problem. Thank you.
So that was Natasha, and yes, discussed obviously the championship leagues, and obviously she did discuss the Premier League standings. Very interesting discussion with her. But anyways, this was pretty much about the world of football. We'll quickly jump over to the next update for you guys from the world of tennis. Yes, a very interesting update. So Medvedev actually tests positive for corona. Not to forget, he's now out of Monte Carlo's Masters. And don't forget that he won the ATP finals at the end of 2020. It's surely going to be a very bad impact for him, obviously getting positive at this time and not being able to participate in Monte Carlo. And he also practiced with the 11th time champion Rafael Nadal on Monday. So let's hope things are in control for him, because for some athletes, the virus becomes a very tricky situation, and him not realizing that he had the virus, and I hope he did not manage to contract it to anybody else. But that was about the tennis side. I'll quickly jump over to the world of NBA. Yes, the world of NBA, another record. Talking about Steph Curry, he became the Golden State Warriors all-time record point scorer, and he scored 53 points against the Nuggets, and he played 9th, 50-point game of his career on Monday. I think he's phenomenal, and he's done his career high of 62 points over the Trail Blazers in March. So just want to tell you, this guy is an absolute genius when it comes to the world of NBA, and I think he surely is a living legend. But anyways, this was pretty much it from the world of NBA as well. But anyways, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can reach out on the social media handle, which is @the_rate_of_Indus News Sports. That basically works both for Instagram and Twitter. Till then, take good care of yourselves, and bye-bye.